Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Today we are doing a full 2-round NFL mock draft for all teams. We've been grinding the film. We've been cranking out a bunch of the position rankings, creating our big boards. Senior Bowl is happening now. The East West Shrine Bowl's game is finishing up tonight. Starting to get more of a feel for these prospects and how we like them and how we stack them. And we're going to make a pick for every single team for the first 2 rounds, starting off with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Kayvon Thibodeaux and Aiden Hutchinson probably are our 2 best prospects on the board. That being said, thinking about the need for the Jacksonville Jaguars, I think it's vital for them to build around their rookie quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. Well, I guess second-year quarterback Trevor Lawrence. Just the dude did not have much help, needs help. We're going to go get Evan Neal, who will be just a franchise left tackle for them, and hopefully keep Trevor Lawrence clean in the pocket and letting him use that tremendous arm talent to get the ball to some playmakers. Second pick, Detroit Lions. I feel like this just makes sense. Bring Aiden Hutchinson home. He's a Michigan guy. He's been phenomenal for Michigan. He's my number 1 guy on our big board here. I really think that's a no-brainer pick if he falls to the Detroit Lions at number 2. Just seems like a Dan Campbell dude, to be honest. 3, the Houston Texans are picking. The Houston Texans have a lot of holes. They're not going to all of a sudden draft really well and become a better team immediately. I think Kayvon Thibodeaux is the next best prospect on the board. Freaky traits. He's been the number 1 overall prospect for 3 years since he's been a true freshman there at Oregon. I think that's where the Texans got to go. I'm not opposed for them trading out of the pick, but we're not doing trades in this draft, so we're going to go get Houston Texans. We're going to go get Kayvon Thibodeaux. New York Jets at 4. You know they need help at that secondary level. Kyle Hamilton's probably the best prospect, but I really think they could go cornerback too. I think they could go Derek Stingley. I think they could also go Ahmad Gardner. We have Derek Stingley as our number 1 guy. That being said, Ahmad Gardner is making a serious push. The more you watch film on Ahmad Gardner, just like the recent film, he's been the better guy. That being said, Derek Stingley is inarguably like the best cornerback we've seen from that true freshman year. If he put together the same film for 3 straight years, he'd be the number 1 overall pick, I think. That being said, you haven't really seen him do much in the last 2 years. So either going with Stingley, Ahmad Gardner, or you could go Kyle Hamilton, who I think is our next best prospect. I think we go Kyle Hamilton here. We saw what Jamal Adams could have brought to that defense. I think Kyle Hamilton can do a lot of those same things. He can blitz, he can play in the box, but he's also 6'4", has tremendous range in the back end, can play a little bit more of that traditional safety role too. I think he's the best prospect on the board. The Jets will have another top 10 pick, which they probably will be able to get Stingley or Ahmad Gardner. So I think you go Kyle Hamilton here at 4. New York Giants, I think it's a no-brainer that they need help on that offensive line. I think the next best guy, and the guy who I think just fits what they're trying to do, is Kevin Kwanu. They have him as his 20th prospect overall. He's in our top 10 for both of our rankings. We're going to go get Ike Ekwonu, beef up that offensive line. Dude's a monster in the run game. I think he can clean up some of those footwork stuff that we saw if he's going to play tackle in the league. But he really was. He put out solid tackle film in the ACC. I don't really have too much concerns about it. And I think that's where the Giants are going to go at 5. Moving on to 6, the Panthers, they also need a lot of help. Quarterback is kind of a big question mark. I don't love going quarterback this early, especially with the options we have. Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett, Sam Howell, Malik Willis. None of those guys are really jumping out at me and really are worth a top 10 pick, especially here at 6 for the Panthers. The Panthers don't have any other picks until I think the 4th round, if I'm mistaken. I don't think they have a 2nd or 3rd round pick. So I'm not opposed to them trading out of it. That being said, if they were to stay here, pick at 6, I think Charles Cross is the pick. I have Charles Cross above Ike Ekwonu. That being said, I think that New York Giants fit is a little bit better. Charles Cross is the best pass protector, I think, out of all the prospects. He doesn't have as that physical frame that Evan Neal and Ike Ekwonu have, But when it comes to just being a really, really good pass protector, Charles Cross is the guy. Now you get Giants picking at 7. We're going to go back to the big board here, see who's the best available. I am not at all against them going back-to-back offensive linemen. I think that's really where you got to rebuild that team. If you're going to try to give Daniel Jones a shot to succeed, you got to be able to protect him. There's no stud offensive position player. I mean, Garrett Wilson's probably the best on the board, but I think you can get some offensive weapons in the later rounds. Again, you guys went out, got Kenny Galladay, Kadarius Toney. I think you're going to go Kenyon Green. I mean, you put Ekemekwana, Kenyon Green on the same offensive line. I think that's a really, really impressive offensive line. George Karlaftis isn't a bad look either. That being said, we're going to go Kenyon Green. We're going to go back-to-back offensive linemen. That's going to be a really good offensive line. I think both Ekemekwana and Kenyon Green are extremely good prospects, and you got to be excited if you're a Giants fan for that future of the offensive line. Atlanta Falcons at 8. This, to me, is a no-brainer. I've been seeing a lot of DeMarvin Leal picks, but DeMarvin Leal is not even going to be in the top 50 in my big board. I'm not a fan of what I've seen from him. George Karlaftis, on the other hand, I really, really like. You haven't seen as much as you really want from him. I'm going to surprise everybody here, though. I'm going to surprise everybody, and I'm going to go with Jermaine Johnson from Florida State. This dude has been tremendous for Florida State this year. That Notre Dame film to start the year was incredible, and he pretty much continued that all year. But what I'm really looking at is what he's been doing at the Senior Bowl. I mean, you go look at this guy. He's winning every single rep. He's got extremely, extremely good get-off. He's got great length. He's got great power. Really everything you want to see in an edge defender. He's also very good in the run game, benching guys out, keeping that leverage. I get it. George Karlaftis is widely liked by the draft community, but I think Jermaine Johnson is really the third best defensive end edge rusher that we have on this board. And that film was very, very, very incredible from this year, and he's putting together a very good year in the Senior Bowl. Denver Broncos, I want to see what they do at quarterback. I think they're really in the running to go get a very, very impressive move, whether it's Aaron Rodgers, whether it might be Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson, so a quarterback, because this team is good. This team is a very good team. Just haven't had the quarterback to really take them there. And that being said, there's no quarterback here that is going to compete with a Patty Mahomes or Justin Herbert. So I think you go with your best pick available, and that's Derek Stingley. Out of LSU, again, we've talked about Derek Stingley. Him and Patrick Surtain are going to be just an absolutely disgusting combo. If you put those two together, Surtain put together a phenomenal rookie year. Simmons in the back end, all of a sudden becomes a very strong secondary group, which is important when you have guys like Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert in your division, and Derek Carr maybe. So that secondary immediately gets better with that top 10 pick. And I think it's great value. I think Derek Stingley has a really good argument to be a top 5 prospect. He is a top 5 prospect on my board, falling to number 9. Who's got to be kicking themselves is the New York Jets, because you probably are eyeing Stingley. That being said, you're going to get another guy who I think is the second best cornerback, Ahmad Gardner. Really physical guy. He's got great length, got good feet. The biggest knock on him is he's a little bit handsy. I think he's had 14 penalties throughout his the last 2 years at Cincinnati. But again, I'd rather have a guy who's too physical and be like, hey, we gotta control that, as a guy, instead of a guy who is just can't really, it doesn't get physical, I guess you'd say. Washington at 11. This would be a spot where it's like, okay, if you want to go get a quarterback, I'm okay with it. First, you got to check the big board. Is there anybody that really is jumping out at you on the big board? I think Garrett Wilson is jumping out to me. But Garrett Wilson is going to be a waste if you don't address that quarterback position. So you're going to go quarterback here. My favorite quarterback is Matt Corral. So far, the Senior Bowl guys, Sam Howell, Carson Strong, Kenny Pickett, Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, Bailey Zappi, all at the Senior Bowl, have not been very impressive. I think Matt Corral has one, his mobility's got to be a factor. We're seeing quarterbacks starting to win. Being, you don't have to be a Lamar Jackson, but having decent mobility has proven to be a very good trait to have. And I'm not crazy about the pick, but when your team like the Washington Commanders, you got to keep swinging. You got to keep swinging the bat until you get a quarterback. Swing at Matt Corral, who's a dude that brought Ole Miss back to some sort of relevance. I mean, the last 2 years he's been phenomenal for them. Those offensive numbers have been fantastic, and he's got the ability to be a good starting quarterback in the league. 12 for the Vikings. This one I think is a pretty obvious pick. I think you go George Karlaftis, the next best edge guy on the board. It's not that I don't like him. I just love Jermaine Johnson. George Karlaftis, we haven't seen as much as we'd like to in his 3 years. Obviously, COVID year, he's battled some injuries, but extremely, extremely powerful hands. Doesn't have that elite bend that you look for like a Hutch or Thibodeau have. That being said, extremely powerful. He's going to be collapsing pockets, and I think he's going to be a great pick there. 13, we're going to go Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State. The Browns need another wide receiver. We're not really sure what's going to go on with Jarvis Landry. Baker Mayfield's 5th year. It's his 5th year, I believe. They picked up that option. So it's kind of like we're going to figure out who Baker is. That whole team is good, besides the pass catchers, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Anthony Schwartz. Those guys don't really excite me. Anthony Schwartz is more just a speedster. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a day 3 pick who's he's solid, but it's like, eh. So go Garrett Wilson, number 1 wide receiver on the board, and go give Baker Mayfield some help. Number 14 for the Ravens. I think they could use a linebacker. I think the Marvin Leal, I mean, again, I just don't like him, but I don't think as like a player he's a horrible fit. I like Tyler Linderbaum a lot, and I like him here. You want to run the ball. Tyler Linderbaum's extremely good at just leveraging dudes, opening up holes. I think he's going to be Tyler Linderbaum is going to be the steal of the draft for whoever gets him. That being said, Sammy Watkins leaving. I think you just need some more wide receiver help. Marquise Brown I'm not like wowed about him. He had a decent year this year, and you have Mark Andrews, got Rashad Bateman. So maybe I'm talking myself out a little bit of Chris Olave here. And you might just need to go with the best linebacker, and that's Nakobe Dean. Nakobe Dean's another guy that I have in my top 15. So in my mind, this is a fine value pick. The film on Nakobe Dean's been phenomenal all year. A little bit undersized, and also when you're playing behind a defensive front that dominant, you worry about like what's his film gonna look like? How's his play gonna look when guys make it to the second level? I mean, nobody's double teaming Jordan Davis and working up to linebackers. They're just getting stuffed by Jordan Davis. So Nakobe Dean kind of had free range to go out and make plays. How's that gonna look when that's not happening? Philadelphia Eagles have 3 picks in the next 5. I think one thing you just have to address, and I'm not even convinced they're going to do it, but I think they should, is you got to go get a linebacker. Devin Lloyd's still on the board. I have Devin Lloyd as my LB2, but it's very close. Devin Lloyd doesn't flash as much as some of the Nakobe Dean plays, but he's also just a very solid linebacker who gets his hands on balls. He's very good in coverage. 6'3". He was a former wide receiver safety. Safety guy in high school, so he's got those ball skills. And the Eagles have just needed a linebacker for years. They go up and get Devin Lloyd. I think this is where you go Andrew Booth. To be honest, I have Roger McCreary, Trent McDuffie, all around Andrew Booth. I'm not nearly as high as him as a top 5 pick. That being said, the physical traits with Andrew Booth are very, very intriguing. I'm going to pass on him. I'm going to go with Chris Olave, who I have as my wide receiver 2, right behind Garrett Wilson. Go give Jalen Hurts some help. I mean, Jalen Reagor has just been a failed experiment. Know who's not going to fail is Chris Olave. I'm very confident he will be a producer in the NFL. Him and Devontae Smith, 2 young, talented wide receivers who create separation and have great hands. I think is going to be a very good fit for this Eagles team. This is an exciting team because they have 3 first-round picks. And it's not a bad roster. There is a playoff team. I know they got smoked by the Bucks, but like it's a playoff team that competed hard um with multiple injuries. 17, LA. I've seen a popular mock where you go get Jordan Davis, and I don't hate that mock one bit. They've struggled in the run game, but I think this is where you go get. I'm talking myself to go get. No, we're gonna go get Jordan Davis. I really think this is the move. They just have struggled so bad stopping the run. Jordan Davis is a guy who you're going to play on first and second down inside. He's going to allow you to play two deep safety, and you're going to stop the run. I mean, this guy is the best prospect we've seen in a really long time when it just comes to taking on double teams, being big and filling gaps, and stopping the run. And so you got to go Jordan Davis here. 18, the Saints. I think this is where you take Jameson Williams. He's a guy who's fallen, obviously, because of the injury, but they so desperately need some wide receiver help. You're not really sure who's going to be in the quarterback room. You don't even know who's going to be the head coach. You're going to go get Jameson Williams, who is an absolute flyer. He blows the top off of defenses. And on a team that just needs help so bad at the wide receiver position. Go get Jameson Williams and give whoever's going to be playing quarterback. Hopefully it's not Ian Book or Taysom Hill. Go get him. I think Eagles at 19, you go get David Ojabo, who's a guy who I think certainly could go in the top 10. Is super, very twitched up. I mean, state champion in a 100-meter sprint. A guy who's only been playing football for 5 years. Very similar comp to like Odafe Owe, two guys who were super raw but freak athletes. That being said, David Ojabo actually had production. Odafe Owe last year didn't have any sacks and got picked in the first round. David Ojabo had, I believe it was 11 and a half in the Big Ten. Extremely impressive prospect and a guy with just a tremendous ceiling, possibly the highest ceiling from these edge defenders. Just a little bit too many question marks, especially in that run game. But nobody drafts edge guys to stop the run. They draft edge guys to go sack the quarterback, and that's what this dude's going to do. Moving on to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they're going to go quarterback. Ben Roethlisberger's been gone. There's no quarterback on that team that I really trust. And I heard Mike Tomlin. I heard he loves Malik Willis, and so we're going to go get Malik Willis, who's a guy who I don't personally love. I think he's too inconsistent with accuracy. Puts the ball in harm's way too much. Is trying to just play superhero ball, and I guess I don't blame him because he is at Liberty, where that's kind of what you have to do. That being said, he's got phenomenal traits. He actually measured a 6'2", so the height's not even that much of a concern. He's got the arm talent to make any throw, but like as so many of those guys do, like you have to be able to make those throws consistently and make good decisions. And I question Malik Willis's ability to do that. But Mike Tomlin and that offense is going to be happy to have a quarterback who's an athlete and who can make the throws that Ben Roethlisberger couldn't, who can make the plays Ben Roethlisberger just simply couldn't towards the end of his career. New England Patriots picking at 21. Go back to the big board. I really think one of these wide receivers is a good fit for them. Mac Jones, they tried to build around him, and they got Jonnu Smith, Hunter Henry, but the wide receiver play has continued to be a question mark. I'm going to go with my next favorite wide receiver, Drake London, who I want to see him, if he does run, like I just hope it's not over like a 4.65. I don't want him to be like super slow, and that's really the only concern you have. This dude actually separates pretty well. He's very physical and obviously a beast at the contested catch point. Great catch radius. I love his film, and he's a beast after the catch. So like this guy's good. It's just like, are you going to be too slow? I don't think he will be. And again, the film was extremely impressive, so I don't mind going up and getting a guy here. Moving on to the Las Vegas Raiders, just hired Josh McDaniels. I think they're gonna be looking to boost up that offensive line. Tyler Linderbaum is a guy he's just so good. He's the best center prospect. The reason he's slipping is the positional value. That being said, you gotta love what you've seen from his film. The film has just been extremely, extremely good. Arizona Cardinals at 23. I think this is where you go get like a guy like Andrew Booth if he's falling. Like very, very. He's got great physical traits out of Clemson, and so you're gonna go get Andrew Booth here at 23. Dallas Cowboys at 24. We've done a lot of mocks for the Cowboys. I think they need a linebacker. Unfortunately, Lloyd and Dean are gone. I guess we just got to go back to the big board. And obviously, we're not going Sam Howell. Daxton Hill is a guy that I'm extremely high on. Very, very good in the nickel and man coverage. He's got great feet. He's going to be the fastest, one of the fastest dudes at the combine. He'll run a sub 4.4. He'll start running this in the 4.3s, probably low 4.3s. Extremely fast. He didn't really show that long speed because he was playing in the nickel, but what it showed is that I can be very, very good in the nickel. That being said, I think the Cowboys have some other holes they need to fit. I'm trying to think of like maybe the best fits for them, and it might just be Daxton Hill. I think he's the next highest. Daxton Hill's in the top 20 on my big board. I'm extremely high on this dude. He's got good ball skills. He showed the ability to do it in man coverage, pretty much playing at nickel the whole time. His third year at Michigan. Great blitzer, extremely fast when he's rushing the passer, hard to pick up. A little bit undersized, but the range at the safety spot is going to be intriguing, and you're going to go get him. Bills picking at 25. Bills are just one of the best teams in the league. I got my sweatshirt on. It hurts me to see them pick. They shouldn't even be picking right now. They should be in the Super Bowl. But nonetheless, they are. Trevor Penning struggled a little bit from what I've seen in the Senior Bowl, so I'm not super high on him. Pass rush has been a problem. And I'll tell you, DeMarvin Leal is a Sean McDermott kind of guy. They went out and got Greg Rousseau and Boogie Basham last year, Boogie Basham at least had the same problems DeMarvin Leal did, was a little bit of a tweener. DeMarvin Leal's 290, so it's like, do you have like that explosive and bend to win on the edge? No. Are you too small to win inside? Probably. So that tweener weight is kind of hurting him. Gabe Davis looked really good, so you're not really pressing for a wide receiver 2. Trayvon Walker's another kind of guy that they would really, really like. I think you got to go cornerback, and I think that cornerback's going to be Trent McDuffie. I mean, what's been the Achilles heel for the Bills is stopping Patty Mahomes in the AFC Championship game, or in the playoffs, I should say. Trent McDuffie is a guy who doesn't necessarily have that long speed or physical. What I should say what I'm nervous about is the bigger, faster wide receivers. What are they going to do to him? Because he's a little shorter, 5'11", and doesn't really show off that long speed. But what he does show is just an elite short area quickness. His stats are absolutely ridiculous. He's targeted like 30 times. I think he gave up only like 11 catches for 16 yards, like extremely stingy. And he's put together some of the best film he's seen at the cornerback spot. And so we'll go with Trent McDuffie at 25. Tennessee Titans up next. Probably trying to establish that run game more. And Trevor Penning is very, very enticing. There's not really any like offensive tackles this one's a tough pick. A guy I'm extremely high on from a rush in the passer standpoint is Perrion Winfrey. Struggles a little bit in the run, but he's having an absolute monster Senior Bowl. Go get Perrion Winfrey. He's a guy who uses his hands he's got just violent hands. He uses them well. Probably the best pass rusher from the inside in the class. Definitely better than Jordan Davis. Yeah, he's got to be. He's the one off the top of my head. He's our second defensive tackle off the board behind Jordan Davis, and I think he's got a serious argument to be the best one from a pure pass rusher standpoint. Great get off, powerful hands, just an all around really solid player. Just needs to clean the run game up a little bit more. 27, Tom Brady just retires. Are you going to Kyle Trask, or are you looking to draft a quarterback? I think either way you're going to go Treylon Burks here. Had some injuries with Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown obviously leaving, and it left the wide receiver core just really depleted. And so, excuse me, I'm getting a phone call right now. I'm trying to mock here. But Traylon Burks, a guy with just the size and speed is really, really exciting. And so we're going to go get Traylon Burks here. Green Bay Packers, 28. Aaron Rodgers has some serious question marks. Devonta Adams is probably gone, so you probably would have liked a wide receiver here. And I think you still can go get a wide receiver in Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson is a guy that he deserves to be in the conversation with those top 5 guys, quite frankly. People say he's like small. He's actually 5'11", 180 and change. And like he doesn't play small. He creates separation really well. He can win in the deep routes. He wins and gets separation in intermediate routes. He's also very good with the ball in his hands. In tremendous hands, by the way. And so like he was the guy at Penn State. There was nobody else who was producing. And so Jahan Dotson is a guy who I think I have a late first round grade on him. So right around this time, it's a good roster. We just don't know what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers. And so you just go get a playmaker on the offense side of the ball. 29, the Miami Dolphins. They just fired Brian Flores, which I didn't really agree with too much. They got Jalen Phillips last year. I'm kind of trying to figure out a spot where you can maybe go with the Marvin Leal. I just don't like him at all. So he's just going to continue to slide. Too early for a running back. I want the Dolphins to get a running back, but I'm not about to go pick Kenneth Walker right now. You guys are going to hate me for it. The Dolphins fans are going to hate me for it. We're going to go Zion Johnson. He's putting together a phenomenal Senior Bowl week. Probably been the best offensive lineman, maybe minus Darian Kennard. The Dolphins just desperately need help on that offensive line. And so we're going to go with Zion Johnson from Boston College, who can play. He's getting reps at center. He's getting reps at guard. And he's actually also played tackle. So this guy he's nothing special. He's not like a monster like Darian Kennard or Daniel Flele, but he's just a very good football player, and there's something to be said about it. 30, Kansas City Chiefs. Tough loss for the guys. Detroit Lions fans need to be so mad about their Rams. Their first-round picks just getting destroyed there. I think they really could use an offensive playmaker like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. And then outside of that, it's just like fast guys who aren't that good. That being said, with like no Traylon Burks, no Jahan Dotson, I don't really love any guy there. Losing Melvin Ingram. This could be a spot for DeMarvin Leal. Put him up. Like DeMarvin Leal, like he's outside of my top 50. But the traits are there. Like how he moves for that big is enticing. He's obviously a top recruit from his class. And he produced in the SEC. I mean, 8 sacks and I think 11 TFLs. So he's a guy that I think will go in the late first round, early second round. I'm not nearly as high on him. I think Trevon Walker's a nice little get to, especially with how disappointing Frank Clark's been. And we'll go to Marvin Leather. I don't love that pick. I'm just not that high on him. Cincinnati Bengals picking out at 31. I think you immediately have to look at the offensive tackles. Trevor Penning hasn't been extremely impressive at Senior Bowl. I haven't seen too much of him, but like I haven't heard great things. Gonna go back to the big board here. I mean, they're a solid team. They just got to protect Joe Burrow. And you might just have to force it. You know what I mean? You might just have to force an offensive lineman because you need to better protect Joe Burrow. And if you don't, like maybe you just don't go get one in free agency and get the best player available here. Pass rush has been extremely impressive. I think Henderson has been very, very valuable for them. Obviously, guys like Jesse Bates on the back end have been interesting. You might just have to go Trevor Penning. You might. My brother would hate me. My brother would hate me for doing it. A little bit of a lazy pick, but I think he's a guy who's just an absolute mountain and has some great potential to be really, really strong there. And then the Detroit Lions picking at 32. Again, a team that has a lot of needs. One of them is linebacker, and you got Christian Harris sitting there. I think he's our third best linebacker on the board. He's got some very good potential. I feel like Christian Harris is a guy who just hasn't seen the field as well as you would like him to. So we're going to go with Christian Harris. He might be a developmental guy, but he's got the physical traits to be a phenomenal linebacker in the league. And that will do it on the first round. We'll be back with the second round later. Thank you guys for watching us and supporting the Rock Boys, rocking with the Rock Boys, as we like to say. And we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.